What happens when an elderly man is quietly pushed out of his own home, disguised as care and concern? He stayed silent, until he decided to expose exactly how they erased him. What happened next changed thousands of lives forever. You ever wake up and feel like you've been edited out of your own life? That's how I felt the morning I turned 73. Not that anybody noticed. Not my son. Not my daughter-in-law. Not even the dog. But he passed a year ago. So maybe that one's on me. There were no birthday texts, no phone calls, just me, a squeaky fridge, and a half-empty container of leftover soup. I live with my son, Alex, and his wife, Kristen. Correction, they live in my house. But lately, you'd think I was the guest who overstayed his welcome. The kind they smile at in the hallway but secretly wish would trip over his own slippers. So, I made myself a cup of instant coffee, the cheap kind that tastes like burnt dirt, and stared at the same 4 kitchen walls I've looked at since 1985. Back when the drywall was fresh, and my wife, Ellen, used to dance in here barefoot while the radio played Sinatra. She's gone now. And what's left? A coffee-stained counter, and the sound of my own bones cracking every time I reach for a mug. But even on that cold, quiet birthday, I figured I'd do something decent. Something real. Something that reminded me I'm still a person, not just Dad or him or the guy in the back room. Every Friday, I take homemade food down to the park for 3 regulars. Ed, a war vet who talks like he's still on patrol. Larry, a former mailman with early-onset memory loss, but the man can name every bird within a 5-mile radius. And Tanya, rough around the edges, but she always says, "Thank you." I heat up the soup. My wife's recipe still makes the kitchen smell like love. And I pack it in one of those heat-proof glass containers Kristen keeps in the cabinet. I know, it was hers. But I cleaned it, dried it, treated it better than most people treat their spouses. The park was quiet, the sky was gray, and the bench by the fountain was our usual table. I passed out the food. We didn't talk much. No one needed to. The steam from the soup said more than words ever could. And just when I was thinking maybe this wasn't the worst birthday after all, my phone rang. Alex. I ignored it the first time. I was in the middle of handing Larry a slice of buttered rye. But he called again. And again. 3rd time's the charm. Or the curse. Dad, where the hell are you? Good morning to you, too. Did you take Kristen's glass container? She can't find it. I just borrowed it. Washed it. I'll bring it back tonight. You can't just take things that aren't yours. Let that sink in. I raised him in this house, taught him how to ride a bike, how to shave. And now he's lecturing me about a food container like I broke into someone's house and stole the family heirlooms. It's a soup container, Alex. That's not the point. We've talked about this. You need to ask. Also, Kristen and I want to talk to you tonight. There are some things we need to address. Address. That's the word people use before they drop a bomb on your dignity. I didn't say anything, just hung up and stared at the cold remains of my coffee. Ed looked over and gave me one of those half nods only old men know how to give, like, "You good?" without having to say it. I wasn't. Not really. By the time I got home, the kitchen smelled like ginger and turmeric. Kristen's daily health cleanse. She was in the corner, blending something green. Alex was already at the table, scrolling through emails like he was too busy to even make eye contact. We talked about boundaries, Dad. Since when did soup become a boundary violation? It's not just the container. You disappear without telling us. Kristen was worried. You weren't worried. You were annoyed. There's a difference. Kristen looked up, finally. We just want the house to feel balanced, respectful. You know, clean energy. Clean energy. You ever want to punch a phrase? You mean you want me to stay in my room and be quiet? No one said anything, which meant yes. That night, I sat on the edge of my bed and stared at the ceiling. A tiny brown water stain near the light fixture. I remember patching that leak myself back in '99. A storm ripped the shingles off, and I fixed them with duct tape and hope. Now, I'd be lucky if they let me on the roof without asking for a permission slip. I used to be the man of this house. Now I'm a ghost that bumps into walls and gets scolded for using the wrong coffee mug. But here's the thing. This isn't a pity party. This is a warning. Because one day, you'll do everything right, and they'll still look at you like you're in the way. You'll cook soup for the hungry, and they'll treat you like a thief. You'll build a life, and they'll make you ask permission to live in it. I was just trying to clear my head. That's it. No grand plan, no heroic mission, just a walk. After everything that went down with the container scandal, and yeah, I'm calling it a scandal because I'm still half convinced they were going to hold a full intervention about it. I needed air. The kind that doesn't smell like lavender diffusers and tension. The park was quiet. The sun was pretending to shine. You know the kind of morning where it looks nice, but the wind still bites? That one. I took my usual path down by the creek, trying not to think about how I'd become a third wheel in my own home. Just focused on walking, breathing, maybe even pretending I still mattered in the grand scheme of things. That's when I saw him. Little kid, maybe 7, standing at the edge of the sidewalk, alone. Crying, but trying real hard not to. You could tell. That silent kind of sobbing where your chest jerks, but you won't let the tears fall. His backpack was dumped on the ground next to him, zipper half open, and his shoelaces were undone. So what did I do? What any decent human being would do. I knelt down beside him, slow and gentle, like approaching a spooked dog. "Hey, buddy, you okay?" He didn't answer, just looked at me with big, watery eyes. "You lost?" A nod, barely visible. "Want to sit down with me for a sec? We'll figure it out." I led him to the nearby bench, kept a respectful distance, didn't touch him, didn't pull out my phone, just sat there while he calmed down. He was about to say something when, suddenly, "What the hell is going on?" I turned and there she was, a woman, mid-30s, hair pulled back tight, rage in her eyes. The mother. She bolted toward us like I'd just been caught luring her kid into a van. "Who are you? Why are you with my son?" "Ma'am, I didn't—" "Don't touch him! Step away!" She scooped the boy up like I was a threat, not a helper. Her eyes were on fire. And now, people were looking. Phones were coming out. One guy in a Patagonia vest shouted from across the path. "You want me to call the cops?" "Do it!" she yelled. And just like that, I became that guy. The headline, "The suspicious old man with shaky hands and a good heart." But no one cared about the heart part. 2 cops arrived within minutes. Young, eager, hands on hips. "Sir, we're gonna need you to come with us." I didn't fight. I didn't argue. What was I going to say? "Sorry, officer. I was just trying to be kind in a world that doesn't recognize kindness anymore." I sat in the back of that cruiser and felt something crack. Not loudly, quietly, like an old chair giving way under its own weight. At the station, after the kid and his mom confirmed nothing happened, they let me go. No record, no citation, just a paper cup of lukewarm water and a half-hearted apology. I walked home, 3 miles. Didn't want to face a cab driver. didn't want to explain. When I walked through the door, Kristen didn't even look up from her laptop. Alex was waiting, arms crossed. "Where were you?" "Police station." "What?" I told them. Not every detail, just enough. Kristen's face did that thing where she pretends to be shocked, but secretly enjoys the drama. Alex just sighed. "Dad, you can't do things like that anymore." "Like what? Help a child?" "You know what I mean. People talk. We live in a community. This could affect our reputation. Our reputation. Not, 'Are you okay, Dad?' Not, 'That sounds awful.' Just, 'We don't want to be embarrassed by your existence.' That's when I realized I wasn't just inconvenient. I was a liability. You want me to stay inside now? Is that it?" Alex didn't answer. Kristen mumbled something about energy and stability again. I went to my room, sat on the bed, and something in me snapped the rest of the way. Not in an angry way. Not a burn the house down kind of snap. More like a click. A moment of clarity. I remembered that in the basement, among the Christmas boxes and tax records, there were documents, legal papers, the original deed to the house, old utility bills, letters from the mortgage company addressed to me. I went down there, and when I opened the folder, my heart stopped. The deed, the ownership, it didn't have my name anymore. I stared at it for a long time, like maybe I could will the letters back into existence. But no, it was their house now, legally, fully. I'd signed the papers 2 years earlier, not knowing, not paying attention, not being told the full story. "Just a technicality," Alex said. "It'll make things easier if something happens to you." Something happened. They got the house. I got the guest room. I sat there on the cold basement floor for what felt like an hour. The quiet down there was different. It wasn't peaceful. It was hollow, like standing inside your own coffin with the lid still open. That night, I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. I just opened an old notebook and began to write. Everything. How it started. What they said. What they took. I wasn't writing to cry. I was writing to remember. Because if I didn't write it down, they'd erase me completely. We're about to hit the peak. Everything I tried to avoid, everything I feared, it's here. Chapter 3 isn't just a turning point. It's where I stop being quiet. You better stick around. Let me tell you something about silence. It doesn't mean peace. It can mean surrender. And for a while there, I was silent as the grave. After I found out the house was no longer mine, something in me dimmed. Not broke. Just flickered. Like a dying bulb in a hallway no one walks down anymore. I didn't confront them that night. I didn't yell. Didn't slam doors. I just sat in my room and watched the shadows crawl along the walls like ghosts of decisions I wish I hadn't made. In the morning, I asked Alex to sit down. He did. Arms folded, jaw tight, like he already knew what was coming. "I saw the deed," I said. "Dad!" "You took me off." He looked down, then back up. "You signed it. You were fragile. We were trying to help you." "No, Alex. You were trying to help yourself. You wanted the house. So you waited until I was grieving and medicated and alone. And then you asked for my signature like you were handing me a napkin." He didn't deny it. Not really. It just made sense. You're not getting any younger. Kristen and I, we need security. We have plans. Plans. Plans that apparently required rewriting history. So what am I then? A tenant in my own life? He didn't answer. I stood up. "From now on, talk to me like I live here, because legally, I might not. But morally, this place was built with my blood." I walked out, trembling, not with weakness, with restraint. That night, I looked up a legal aid clinic, booked an appointment. Next day, I was sitting across from a woman named Sandra, mid-30s, fierce, the kind of person who could talk a train off the tracks. She read my paperwork, listened to everything, how they convinced me to sign, how they pushed me out of decisions, how I was treated like an antique chair no one wanted to throw out because it added character. Then she said, "We have a case. It's uphill, but it's real." Even if I signed? You were grieving, medicated. There's precedent. And even if we can't reverse the deed, we can file for occupancy rights, abuse of position, or coercion. At the very least, make them answer for it. I nodded. For the first time in months, I felt something return. Not hope, not yet, but heat. Like a small fire in the belly that says, "They thought you were done. Let's prove them wrong." A week later, I got a call from a local journalist. Sandra had passed my story along. Her name was Maya. Young, sharp, sounded like she didn't tolerate nonsense. "I'm doing a feature on elder displacement," she said. Elder displacement? It's a polite way of saying people like you are being kicked out of their own homes. She came by the park bench where I used to serve soup. I hadn't been back since the incident with the kid and the police. But that day, I sat on that bench like I owned the damn earth beneath it. She asked questions, took notes, didn't interrupt. "What do you want from all this?" she asked. I thought for a second. Then I said, "I want people to stop being erased. I want them to know that getting old doesn't mean losing your voice, that our value doesn't come with an expiration date." A week later, the article dropped. "I built this house. Then they took my name off the door." Byline: "A father's quiet war against silence." It went small, viral. People shared it, commented, messaged me directly. My mom's going through the same thing. "I thought I was crazy. Thank you for saying it out loud." "You're a hero." Hero? Number, just a man who ran out of things to lose. That weekend, Alex came home early from work. He walked into my room without knocking. First time he'd done that since I moved in. "You published that? Did you read it?" "Of course I read it. Kristen's parents read it. Her friends read it. What were you thinking?" I stood up. "I was thinking that if I stayed quiet one more week, I'd stop existing. You already erased me from the house. I wasn't going to let you erase me from the world." He looked stunned. Not angry, just shocked that I had it in me, that I still had fight. "You're my father," he said. "We're family." I nodded. "Then act like it." He didn't say anything, just left. Later that night, Kristen made a snide remark about how some people will do anything for attention. I didn't respond. I was too busy reading messages from other seniors who'd been pushed out, cut off, ignored. One of them said, "Reading your story gave me the guts to confront my daughter. I told her I'm not going to fade away." That hit me hard, because that's the point, isn't it? To not fade. They want us to dim, to get quiet, to nod politely and disappear behind closed doors with pill bottles and TV trays. But I'm not fading. I'm igniting. And the fire? It's catching. The final chapter isn't just a wrap-up. It's a reckoning. Stay with me, because in the end, I don't just get justice. I get the last word. Some people win by conquering, others by surviving. Me? I won the moment I stopped asking for permission to matter. It didn't happen all at once. These things never do. After the article, after the legal letters started flying, the house grew cold. Not in temperature, but in spirit. Kristen barely looked at me. Alex only spoke in short, clipped sentences. They acted like I'd betrayed them, like I was the villain for speaking the truth. But guess what? I wasn't ashamed. I stood taller in that house than I had in years. Not because I expected an apology, but because I'd finally remembered who the hell I was. The court hearing came fast, faster than we expected. Sandra prepped me well. She told me to be honest, clear, and calm. "Don't try to be polite," she said. "Just be true." I liked that. We sat in a small courtroom, nothing dramatic like in the movies. Beige walls, buzzing light, tired faces, and I told my story, from start to finish. How I lost my wife, how I signed those papers in a fog, how I was slowly, quietly pushed to the side. I didn't cry, but the woman on the bench across from me did. She wiped her eyes with a sleeve and mouthed, "Thank you." The judge didn't give a big speech, just looked down at her notes and said, "There is sufficient evidence of coercion. The deed transfer is reversed in part. Mr. Martin Clark is reinstated as co-owner. Further, he is granted full right of residence and protection against displacement." That was it. Gavel down. Case closed. I didn't cheer. I didn't fist pump. I just breathed. Fully. Like my lungs had been under a weighted blanket for 2 years, and someone finally lifted it. But I didn't stay. I packed 2 bags. My clothes, a few books, Ellen's photo, and the white mug that said, "Still here." And I left. Not because I lost, but because I'd already won. I moved into a small apartment in a seniors' cooperative. Nothing fancy. Just peace. A room of my own. A window that opened. A community that asked, "How are you?" and actually wanted an answer. Every Thursday night, I now host a gathering. Coffee, stories, sometimes soup. Yeah, I still cook. We talk about what it feels like to become invisible. And then we remind each other that we're not. We're still here. And funny thing, that article? It kept traveling. Someone turned it into a podcast. Then a short documentary. Then a few months later, I got a letter, handwritten, from a woman in Idaho. She wrote, "I showed your story to my daughter. I told her, if you ever treat me like this, I'll go full Martin Clark on you." She laughed. But we had a real talk after that. The first one in years. So thank you. You gave me my voice back. That one got me. Because all I ever wanted was not to disappear. Not just for me, but for all of us who built the world others now think belongs to them. One morning, months later, I got a call. Alex. First time since the hearing. I didn't answer right away. Let it ring. Twice. Then I picked up. "Dad." "Hey." Silence. I saw the film. I read the comments. I didn't know." I let that sit there. "You didn't want to know." He swallowed. "I'm sorry. It wasn't much. But it was something." "I'm doing okay," I said. "Hope you are too." We didn't promise anything, didn't schedule lunch, but I hung up smiling. Because even that, a crack in the armor, was enough. Maybe the future holds a better version of us. Maybe not. But I won't wait for it to define me. I'm defining myself now.